back to my Flash episode review. My thoughts on tonight's episode of Flash, which is the mid-season premiere, titled Borrowing Problems from the Future. And it's going to be back after that long winter break. And I hope everyone had a good holiday, whether it's visiting a family, spending time with family and loved ones, all of that stuff. And now we're back to DC TV being back. And I thought this was a really, really solid mid-season premiere. Nothing too eventful necessarily, but definitely setting up things for the rest of the season moving forward. A lot of stuff, like a lot of good character development in this episode. A lot of things that I really enjoyed. A couple of things I had some minor problems with, but overall, I thought it was a great episode nonetheless. So I'm just going to kick things off with, I did like how, this is a minor thing. I did like how in the beginning of the episode, they did have that change in the opening sequence where Barry, instead of talking about Flashpoint, he's now talking about the death of Iris because of Savitar as like his main drive for the rest of the season, because now Flashpoint really has nothing to do with the rest of the season, which I found interesting because it's the first time the Flash or Arrows have done something like that, like after the mid-season, where they change kind of the course of the show. I mean, it's a little minor thing, but I thought it was pretty cool that they even did that at all. It makes sense because now they're not doing Flashpoint at all, and now they're not really going back to that. It's more just focusing on stopping Iris from being murdered and the events leading up to that. And overall, again, it was a minor thing, but I like a little small detail. And in this episode too, another little thing, I like seeing Greg Grunberg back, and I thought he was kind of a character that he was going to be a one-off character since he was in Kevin Smith's episode Killer Frost a few episodes ago, and I thought that was going to be like a one and done. But no, it looks like they're kind of keeping him around here and there. I really like Greg Grunberg as an actor. His character is kind of starting to remind me of his character in Heroes, Matt Parkman. Just where that character ended up, and I don't know. I did like just seeing Greg Grunberg back, even though he was more just talking crap about Kid Flash. And that was one thing I wanted to bring up in this episode too. Is it was cool seeing Wally and Barry going out there as Flash and Kid Flash. That's something that us fans have been looking forward to ever since Wally was brought into the show. So I like seeing them in action together. Some of the action sequences were a little cheesy, and Wally is becoming a little overly cocky. But then at the same time, that's just how Wally was when he was younger and when he was Kid Flash in the comics and in Young Justice. So that's where it's not necessarily out of character. But I'm still getting used to the idea of him even being Kid Flash. And something that, this is a little minor thing I wanted to bring up, but just the suit, to me, I like the design of the suit. I love how it's almost exactly the same suit that he has in the comics with some minor detail changes. I'm tired of the CW using leather suits. I'm really getting sick and tired of it. Practically having speedsters wear almost nothing but leather makes zero sense. So I wish the suit was made of a different material other than that fake looking leather. Other than that, I do like the suit, the design aspect of it, because it is, it's almost like it is stepping it right out of the comics. I did wish that I had the little lightning bolts on the side instead of just the little straight things. But that aside, that was just a minor thing. And I did like how him and Barry's banter throughout this episode. There is Barry really has grown to be the mentor role between the two of them, because Barry is the older speedster and he is the Flash and all that stuff. So I did like seeing their banter, and I'm looking forward to it moving forward. What else is there? And I did like how Julian was used in this episode, because ever since the mid-season premiere, he does, now that he's aware of what he's been doing as Savitar, I'm really glad that they're not forgetting that, and he does feel bad about it, and he kind of just wants to he wants to be able to move on. And I don't necessarily like how Caitlin is the one that's kind of helping him move on, because as soon as they hinted it in the mid-season premiere, I know they're going to try to make Caitlin and Julian a thing, which I don't want at all. I'm tired of these CW shows making unnecessary couples out of these characters. It's like, you can have characters that care about each other without making them couples, and I know it's still early on, so that's not necessarily what they could do, but it's just, I know the CW, so more than likely they're going to do it, and I'm not for it. Just have Caitlin Snow be her own character without having to rely on a man, because that's where her character has had some of the biggest problems in my eyes, because in first season, she was just too reliant on, understandably so, she was not necessarily whining, but just overly depressed about the loss of Ronnie before she found out he was Firestorm. And then the whole Jay thing last season, I want Caitlyn to be able to stand on her own as a character, and this season has been better for her because they've been introducing all the Killer Frost stuff. And that's one thing I like about in this episode, that they're still saying she's gonna become Killer Frost. Like, that's gonna happen like almost no matter what. And especially with Cisco's vibe of seeing the two of them fight, and the news things talking about Killer Frost, and just that whole news sequence, like when they're jotting down all the things that they want to prevent. I did like seeing all the different stuff between Music Meister, who was going to be the villain of the Supergirl and Flash crossover later this year. Gorilla Army, which is obviously going to be Gorilla Grodd coming back. The Star Labs Museum shutting down. And the Star Labs Museum thing in this episode, I thought it was just okay. I mean, HR is... It's hard to really like the guy, because in the show they can make him kind of unlikable and kind of just self-absorbed and overly cocky, and kind of he's just not the most likable guy. And then at the end of this episode, they are teasing that they're going to do more with the character because someone came in from another Earth, presumably HR's Earth, looking for him. So I wonder what they're going to do with him moving forward. And I did like kind of the role he's starting to take in the show. I still don't necessarily like him a whole lot as a character, but I did like where they ended up with him towards the end of the episode. And Cisco's more and more starting to like the guy, but also letting him know that, hey, you're not the most likable guy. So I did like his role within the episode, is trying to establish the museum. And I'm really starting to wonder, is that going to become the Flash Museum, or is it going to be the Central City Museum that becomes the Flash Museum? Because they teased the Flash Museum at the end of season 1, and that was kind of it. And now they are doing the Star Labs Museum, and I wonder if that's going to kind of become the Flash Museum. I don't know. We'll see. That's just something that I wanted to bring up. What else? I thought a lot of the stuff that revolved around, the team trying to stop Plunder was just okay. Plunder was really cheesy villain of the week, but Plunder served a purpose. Whereas, he was something that the team was trying to prevent happen. Well, at least Barry more so than the team. He's trying to prevent the headline from being there in the future when Iris gets killed. So he's trying to stop the events leading up to that. So with him trying to stop Plunder did serve a purpose as a plot point, but as a villain, he was essentially useless. I did not care for him at all. He was just a throwaway villain, but he did serve somewhat of a purpose, which I'm happy with. And I found a lot of the emotional scenes between Barry and Iris really well done, especially when Barry brought her to the time vault and was showing her the article and explaining to her, that he went to the future and he saw her get killed by Savitar, and just seeing how emotional she was. And this episode really, Candace Patton is an amazing actress, and I love her as Iris West, and I hope they better not kill her off. I mean, I know they've established that she's going to be, that she's the end game for him and Barry, and I really don't want them to kill her off. If they do, I'm going to be done reviewing Flash, at least for the foreseeable future, because I am not about to deal with that crap. Especially with Arrow, and they did with Laura Lance. And the only reason why I came back to the show is because the show started to improve. So Flash is one of those where they kill off Iris and it slowly gets better. Maybe I'll come back to it, but I'm not for them killing Iris West off. Because Candace Patton is amazing. I think there's sometimes where I think Candace Patton is almost too good for this show. And especially in tonight's episode where you saw just so much raw emotion from her, and you really her and Barry's relationship feels so real to me. And when seeing their domestic life early on in the episode and by the end of this episode, one thing that did kind of stand out to me is that their loft, I don't know how the hell they're even able to afford that loft. It's way too nice for them to be able to afford a reporter and an assistant CSI salary. I mean, maybe they could, I don't know. It's a minor thing, but I don't know. But I do love Iris and Barry's relationship. I always have been a fan of theirs ever since I came around to Iris West and towards the end of season 1. And I really, really love the relationship and how it's been handled this season so far. Iris West is an amazing character. Writers, you better not kill her off. That's all I'm going to say. But overall, I think that's going to be it for me. A really solid mid-season premiere. Not the most memorable episode, but it's definitely setting up a lot of things, making me looking forward to the rest of the season. So yeah, with that being said, that's going to be it for me. So what did you guys think of this episode? Send your thoughts in the comment section below. Give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for all the other content we'll be putting up. Legend of Tomorrow is on tonight. I'll try to watch it, review it tonight for you guys, but I'm busy with my girlfriend, spending time with her. So it's hard to spend 2 hours of my time watching and reviewing these shows when I have her to spend time with, and I want to make. I just want to be selfish in my time spending with her, so just there may or may not be a review in the next couple days. I'll keep you guys posted. But yeah, so again, thank you guys for watching, and until next time, have a good one.